Is heaven for real? It's a pretty popular conversation these days and has been, well, for a long time. But especially in the past 5 years or so, the whole subject of heaven has taken on a popular form all of its own. When I went on vacation in August, I read about 8 different books on heaven, and here's some of them. And the titles are very fascinating. Well, Proof of Heaven. This was written by a neurosurgeon. He says, it's for real, I saw it. No question, I'm a doctor. I can tell you it's there. Fascinating how he describes heaven. How about this one? The Boy Who Came Back from Heaven. A little story of a pastor's son who saw heaven. And here's his description and how it affected their lives. How about this one? This guy was in his 70s, an engineer from up in Michigan. Not a guy that you might have said would be prone to hallucinations, but he said he went to heaven, came back. Here's his story, his whole testimony. But maybe the most popular, at least recently, is this book called Heaven is for Real. Made it into a major motion picture, and some of you probably went to see the movie, Is Heaven for Real? Well, the question is it for real? And if it's for real, then what are we going to do about that? I think it's an important question. Well, in this film, and some of you might have seen it. Did any of you see the film? Yeah, some of you did get to see it. And everybody that saw it said, man, this is so inspiring. Really enjoyed that. Well, in a CNN article, opinion piece, a guy named Drew Dick points out some interesting observations about the film from his perspective. He said that the most disturbing elements of Hollywood's version of 4-year-old Colton Burpo's story is how non-terrifying it was. In most movies, he writes, angels are warm, approachable teddy bears with wings. God is Morgan Freeman or some other avuncular presence. Scripture, however, knows nothing of such portrayals. Heavenly encounters are terrifying, leaving even the most stout and spiritual vibrating with fear or lying face down, unconscious. Dick observes that heaven is a place of peace and comfort, but also of God's raw power. What we think about heaven shows us what we think about God. Is your vision of heaven in accordance with Scripture's vision of it? A place of God's limitless power and glory? Or is it more like Hollywood's teddy bear? Morgan Freeman version. And I like Morgan Freeman. No, what's wrong with that? The question is it for real? And if it is, what's it like? And do we really want to go there? So I want to answer 2 questions this morning in this introduction message to this series on heaven. We've got a long way to go in this series and a lot that I want to introduce you to in the months ahead. But this morning, I want to come to these 2 questions in particular. First, what on earth is heaven? Let's just start with a basic definition of it, if you will, and look at some of the issues. What on earth is heaven? And once we've dealt with that a little bit, let's answer the question, why on earth go there? So back to the first question. What on earth is heaven? Well, then I want to ask you 2 other questions. Is heaven just a state of mind? Or is heaven a place? Is it a state of mind or is it a place? And so what difference does it make? It makes a whole lot of difference. Is it a state of mind or is it a place? Well, when you consider whether maybe it's just a state of mind, there are a lot of good arguments against, well, in the minds of many, against a real heaven. There's a lot of reasons why some people object to having a heaven. And here's some of the possibilities to maybe rejecting the whole idea of heaven as a state of mind. Well, heaven's a dream, some people say. It's just a dream, you know, and it's wishful thinking. It's like the happy hunting grounds in a sense. You just want a place to go out there, dream, and you're hoping that your thought about heaven will be what you experience. You know, it's sort of like this. I golfed on earth, I'll golf in heaven. I was a great fisherman on earth, I'll get to be a fisherman in heaven because I know heaven will be the realization of my dream. So whatever it is I really love here, that's what I'll get to love there. Heaven is just my dream, personified. Second possibility is heaven's just an escapist idea. It's just something a lot of people use to deal with a hard day, a hard life, suffering, and all that sort of thing. It's just a way to talk, to go, man, I wish it were better. I wish life was other than what it is. And so you dream about heaven and you escape there. It's just an escapist idea. A third possibility, maybe it's just a myth. Every culture creating a myth of a better place, a golden land or a sweet place where they sing and there's angels or no angels or something, but it's just a myth. No real foundation to it. Or how about this one? Heaven's a diversion. It's just a diversion from the present tasks of your life, from the present responsibilities of your life. And so when you think about heaven, it just kind of helps you get out of work. You get out of a tough relationship, or you get out of some financial crisis by creating your version of heaven. What about it? It's a possibility, according to some. How about heaven is a bribe? Now, people who argue this will say, is that really right? I mean, heaven is a bribe, so you work here and you divert all your thinking and your hopes to this other place, and you're going to heaven because you think you're going to get something. You're going to get a mansion. You're going to get some gold. You're going to get, well, some of you might be excited to get a harp, right? I would. I've never played a harp. I want to play one. Like, that figures, right? But, well, is that the deal? Is it a bribe? So you work for heavenly rewards here, and, well, that's just God doing something for you and kind of teasing you with a prize, so you don't work out of love for God. You just work because you're going to get to go to a beautiful place. How about heaven is a selfish idea? Well, okay. It's selfish because, well, you're not paying attention to where you are, and you're going to go up there so you can have your little thing, your own personal view of heaven and your personal friends, and you can sort of have God give you all the things you want, and it's all about you. It's heaven for you. It's whatever you dream of for you, tailor-made by the God up there, some would say. How about heaven being unrealistic? I mean, think about this. Golden streets, and that's it? No variety? I mean, no food? No food in heaven? No chocolate? No hamburgers? No cookouts? Are you serious? No candy? No cookouts? No. Well, what about clothes? What about nice clothes? Sweaters in the fall, coats in the winter, nice little outfits in the spring. I mean, no variety? What's with that? That doesn't seem all that exciting. That's unrealistic. No games. You mean no football? No basketball? No, none of that? What? No, I don't want it. That's unrealistic. And then some just come right out and say, well, the possibility is heaven would be boring. Well, you think it would be boring? Imagine sitting in church for eternity. That's what they say. You want to go to church and sit there forever? Well, I surely couldn't sit in these seats forever. I wouldn't want to sit in a pew forever. So they say, who wants to go to church forever and just be in some big old choir with a bunch of angels with feathers in your face and plucking harps? I don't even want to play a harp. I don't want to go there. That just sounds really boring. Or how about this? Heaven's just a reincarnation anyway. So heaven might be really, you're coming back as a bug. You're like, yeah, my wife hopes I'll come back as a bug and she's going to squash me or something. But that's some of the possibilities. But then there are some problems with this whole idea of heaven being a state of mind. Some say, well, it would be unfair to go to heaven. And so if you went to heaven, isn't that kind of elitist? Us, them, the good people, the bad people, the ones that made it, the ones that didn't, and who knows? I mean, and God's going to pick. That's just not fair. There's a problem with that. Maybe you struggle with that. Or heaven would be unhappy. Who wants to go to heaven? It'd be absolutely unhappy. Have you ever thought about that? That it would be unhappy. How would heaven be unhappy? Okay, here's the argument. You're up there and your parents are down here. You're up there and your child's, not your child, but let's say you have an adult child. They're down there. You got loved ones in hell and you're in heaven? No, I don't think that's fair. Or I'm in hell and they're in heaven. That's just not fair. I don't like it. I would be unhappy to be in a place where I can't have everybody I love all the time. You want to go that place? Or how about heaven would be a prison? Wouldn't it sort of be like all of us being eternal robots? Just all doing the same thing, the same place, always singing the same song the same way, playing the same harp to the same tune. That's kind of the way the argument goes. That'd be prison, man. Prison for eternity. So I have a problem with that. And heaven would be dull on another level because we'd just be carbon copies of God. No variety of people. I mean, isn't that part of the spice of life? All kinds of different people acting in different ways, and it's just all the personal drama going on that we have to deal with. But if we're in heaven, the dullness would be everybody looks and acts and sounds the same. Is that right? Will we all look the same? Will it be, we're nondescript? Think about it. And finally, heaven would be disloyal to our earthly home and all that we poured our lives into here. So, is heaven a state of mind? There's some possibilities, but there's some problems with that. There are a lot of reasons why you may know people who say, heaven does not interest me at all. Whether it's real or not, I don't want to go there. Now, according to all the books I'm reading, everybody's got a different view of what they see there. And for all the people that wrote these books, they said, oh man, you got to go there. This is an awesome place. I mean, there's rainbow-colored ponies, and there's people, well, there's Apostle Peter there in his old fisherman's outfit, and then there's beautiful colors and beautiful sounds and all these things, which we'll touch on later. Where else see that? Well, these people want to go back. A lot of people don't want to go there to begin with. So, is heaven a state of mind? In April 2012, Time magazine ran a cover story by this title, Heaven Can Wait, Why Rethinking the Hereafter Could Make the World a Better Place. Follow me with this. In the next issue, Time printed an opinion piece. Somebody wrote back and made a comment on the article. And the article was from Mark Hebert from Walnut Creek, California. So this was his letter to the editor. He says, your story about heaven says that 85% of Americans believe in heaven. That's incredible. They think of heaven as quiet and peaceful with no need to do anything. That sounds pretty dull to me. What do you do with all that free time? And it goes on forever and ever. I mean, how many of you have been on vacation? By the end of vacation, I want to go back to work, right? Or I'm tired of retirement, man. I'm busier now than I was. Are you telling me to retire to heaven forever? I can't think of how boring and unimaginable that would be. It's not so glamorous. So, is heaven a state of mind, or is it a place? If it's a place, what are the possibilities to that? Well, I want to raise 3 questions now about heaven being a place. The first question is this. If it is a place, where is it? I haven't been there. They've been there. They didn't leave a street address. None of the people that have gone there said, I know the path, get me on a ship and I can take you there. We don't know the address of heaven. But heaven is where God is. So wherever God is out there, that's where heaven is. But we'll talk about that later. Where is heaven? Good question. Second question is, who lives there? Who lives in heaven? Well, I want to take you to a couple of passages that you won't see on your screen. But first, if you'll go with me to Revelation chapter 6. Verse 11. And there's a group of martyrs in heaven, and these are some people who, well, they're in an interesting predicament. That a white robe was given to each of them, and it was said to them that they should rest a little while longer until both the number of their fellow servants and their brethren who would be killed as they were completed. There's people already. There will be people there, actual living people in heaven. What did John 3:16 say? For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever would believe in him would not perish, but have everlasting life. Well, for life to last forever, you got to be in a place that lasts forever with a God that lasts forever. And so, if heaven's a place, it's got an address, so to speak, and there are people there. People, believers there, people who know the Lord. But there's some other entities there. If you'll back up into Revelation chapter 5, verse 11. Then I looked and I heard the voice of many angels around the throne, the living creatures and the elders, and the number of them was 10,000 times 10,000, and thousands of thousands, saying with a loud voice, Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Verse 14, then the 4 living creatures said, Amen, and the 24 elders fell down and worshiped him who lives forever and ever. There are people in heaven, in this real place, and there are other creatures there, angels, seraphim, cherubim. They're all there in this place. They live there. Paul said to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. Wherever the Lord is, that's where you go when you die. Immediately when you die, into the presence of the Lord. Well, the Lord's in heaven. That's where you are. But who goes there? So I kind of have an idea who's there already, but who goes there? Who is yet to go to heaven? Well, believers. So jump with me to Revelation 21. And Revelation 21 gives us an interesting picture. In Revelation 21, verse 27 says, But there shall by no means enter into it anything that defiles or causes an abomination or a lie, but only those who are written in the Lamb's book of life. We sing songs like that, about that. We sing old hymns about that, about a name written in the Lamb's book of life. There's a real book, and the names of believers are there. And when you stand in the presence of Jesus, in the home of Jesus, your name is written in the Lamb's book of life. You don't go there unless your name is there. But there's some people whose name won't be there. You backed up with me to Revelation chapter 21, verse 8. But the cowardly, unbelieving, abominable, murderers, sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. That's not a pleasant place. Well, that's not fair. Everybody should have a chance to go to heaven. But do remember, not everybody wants to go to heaven, because not everybody believes there's a heaven. But even if there is a heaven, they don't want to go there. It's not the kind of place they want to live in. Like the joke is, man, the party's down here. Why go up there with those angel-plucking singers when you can be down here where the good people are? We're going to party, man. Yeah, it'll be a little rough, but hey, we have fun down here. Well, I don't know if I want to hang around those kind of guys. It'd be like being locked up in a prison with some of the most undesirable people you could imagine. Back to Revelation chapter 2, verse 7, when Jesus was talking to the churches, these were real churches that existed at the time that John wrote this. In Revelation 2:7, he said, He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To him who overcomes, I will give to eat from the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. The paradise of God. It's the new Eden, by the way. And we'll be talking about Eden a lot. To understand heaven, you've got to understand Eden. As you understand Eden, you'll understand the temple in the Old Testament. When you understand the temple and the Old Testament sacrifices, you'll begin to get a picture of what Jesus came to do. What did Jesus come to bring us to? The promise was made in Genesis chapter 3. And then God started working through all of human history to get us back to paradise. Back to paradise. It's an awesome story. It's an awesome journey. And you got to see Genesis chapter 2 and Genesis chapter 3. And then you got to see Leviticus. That's all coming. So hang on with this story. Well, it's going to be believers who are going to be there. And Jesus says, to those who overcome, I will give to eat from the tree of life. Where did we hear about the tree of life? Genesis. What happened to that tree? Well, much to tell you. I can't wait to tell you about the symbolism in the temple and in the tabernacle. I can't wait to tell you. There's so much for us to understand. I feel like that I've spent my whole life getting bits and pieces, sort of like snapshots. And you put all those snapshots on a board in your kitchen and you go, yeah, I kind of got an emerging picture of this story. But the story of us, the story of God is so incredible. And heaven, it's amazing. So, where is heaven? It's where God is. Who lives there? Believers. and angels, seraphim, cherubim, and martyred Christians and other Christians who have died and gone on. Your loved ones that you have said goodbye to, they are there. I think they like it too. It's good, and they're waiting on us. But this brings me back to my second major question that I raised in the very beginning. If heaven is for real, and we're considering it, and we're asking the question of what on earth is it? Is it just a figment of the imagination? Is it just something we conjure every generation, every race of people, conjure some picture of a heavenly place where they can sort of transfer their deepest desires to and deal with their worst sorrows? Or is it a real place with real people and a real God and real creatures? It's worth asking the question. Which leads me then to this. If it is real, why on earth go there anyway? Why on earth go to heaven? So in Revelation chapter 26, you're saying, man, you're spending a lot of time in Revelation. Well, we'll be all over the Old and New Testament in this journey. But just by way of introduction today, I want you to see in Revelation chapter 21, verse 1. Now I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth passed away, and there was also no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, the New Jerusalem. Did you notice this? The New Jerusalem. We'll be talking about the New Jerusalem later. Coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from a place. It's from heaven, saying, behold, the tabernacle of God. Now, tabernacle of God, that's a very important picture. Remember when God brought the children of Israel out of Egypt and they were wandering in the desert? He gave them a place to have access to Him again. Where was that access found? The tabernacle. Remember the tabernacle? They could go to the tabernacle and they could worship God. They could have limited access, mediated access to God. Remember when Jesus comes to earth? Remember what John said in John chapter 1? He said that the Word was made flesh, and He, here's the Greek, He tabernacled among us. It takes us back to the tabernacle and to the temple. And so here we are at the end, here we are at the climax of history, and I, John, saw the holy city coming down out of heaven. I heard a loud voice saying, behold, the tabernacle of God is... Read it. It's right there. With men. With men. Are you serious? Do you see how huge that is? The tabernacle of God is with men, and He will dwell with them, and they shall be His people, and God Himself will be their God. All right. What was the Garden of Eden all about? I'm giving a little bit away. The Garden of Eden was about tabernacle. Oh, let me use a different word. The Garden of Eden was sanctuary. And what is heaven? Sanctuary. There is so much in that story. It blows my mind. I start getting my arms around it. I start studying it. I start reading it. I start thinking about it. And it's just too much. I have to back away from it and go, why haven't I gotten some of this before? It's huge. All that we know in the redemption story is God bringing us back to sanctuary. Did you see a building in Genesis chapter 2? Was there a building, like an artificial thing like this, a church, a temple in the Garden of Eden? No. How did they do tabernacle? How did Adam and Eve meet with God in the Garden of Eden? Face to face, personally. So what John is saying is, I see in the end what was in the beginning. God being up close and personal with people. And so what's coming is heaven, sanctuary, God and people walking together. That is good stuff. Well, let me give you 3 reasons very quickly why to go to heaven. Number 1, heaven is eternal. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 17, 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 17. Then we who are alive and reign shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and thus shall we always be with the Lord. Therefore comfort one another. See, We're going to be with the Lord. I love the language of this text. We will meet the Lord in the air, and check out that last sentence. And thus, or so shall we ever, and thus we shall always be with the Lord. That's intense. That's intense. That tells me three things. There's no ending to sanctuary. There's no interruptions, and there's no loss. No loss. No interruption. No ending. No fear. See, fear drives us. We're always afraid of losing. We're always afraid of interruptions. We're always afraid of breakdowns and things that go on in our lives that interrupt the things that we love to do. But there's no ending to this time, no ending to the relationship. And heaven is about being with God, a place with God where we have a life we can't imagine. And it is not sitting around plucking harps, staring off into outer space going, Lord, Lord, what are we going to do today? I've sung that song so many times, I am so sick of it. That is not heaven. We can't begin to imagine. Heaven is eternal, and some things will be no more, like fear of loss and interruption. All that is gone. Well, second reason to go to heaven is this. Heaven is relational. So now I take you back to Revelation 21 again, because I didn't finish what I wanted to show you there. In Revelation chapter 2, John says, John saw the holy city coming down. I heard a loud voice. Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he's going to be their God, and they'll be his people. But here's the good part. This is where it gets really gooder. I'm just checking out my English teachers out here to see if they're watching, if they're listening. This is where it gets gooder. Verse 3, at the very end, this is magnificent. God himself will be with them and be their people, and God will wipe away their tears. God will wipe away my tears. See, he's no longer on the throne, remote from us, where we have to have this mediated access to get to him since the Garden of Eden. But now God, the eternal God, is in a relationship with us again like we've never experienced. Heaven is relational. Yes, it's eternal, but it's relational. It's not just sitting out on some cold piece of marble forever with your nondescript harp, plucking away, counting angels. You think that's heaven? That is not heaven. That is not it at all. We will be touched by God. That's awesome. You know, human touch is an amazing thing, isn't it? The power of human touch. The power of somebody affirming you by touching your shoulder, shaking your hand, giving you a glance, looking at you. It's touch. In heaven, God will touch. Because as personally, he will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death, no more sorrow, no more crying, no more pain. For the former things, all this will be gone, gone. It's pretty awesome. Then he says, behold, I make all things new. And he said to me, write, for these words are true and faithful. Everything is going to be new. And you say, I didn't get the life I wanted here. You're going to get a better one. He's going to make it up. Every loss, every interruption, every ending, everything cut short, every pain, every sorrow, everything made right. God himself making it right. Awesome. There's going to be a relationship with God, relationship with saints. It's a great picture. Well, I want you to think with me in Revelation chapter 22. In Revelation chapter 22, heaven is fullness. It's eternal, it's relational, and it's fullness. I've got to move through these. First, heaven is fullness of desire. In Revelation 21, verse 6, he said to me, these words are faithful and true, and the Lord God of the holy prophets sent his angel to show his servants the things that must shortly take place. You know, God is going to bring some things about, some awesome things. But let me jump back to verse 6 of chapter 21. Did you see the last half of that verse? I will give of the fountain of the water of life freely to him who thirsts. Heaven is fullness of desire. All of life is about thirsting, isn't it? Seems like all we do is thirst. I thirst for more clothes. I thirst for more chocolate. I thirst for more vacation. I thirst for more money. We thirst for more better people, a better life, a better world, a better something. We're always thirsting. We always have a desire for more. But heaven is the fullness of all that is right and good about desire. Secondly, it's also fullness of purpose. Now back to chapter 22. There shall be no night. They'll need no night there, because no lamp nor light of the sun, for the Lord God gives them light, and they shall reign forever. You hate your job? Everybody hates their job some days, right? We do. We just might as well admit it. Everybody has problems with their job on some days, except pastors. We always love our jobs all the time because we deal with perfect people in perfect places, and everybody's loving Jesus and loving each other. And, okay. Now, Lord Jesus, forgive me, for I have sinned. Look, we all feel frustrated in our roles, do we not? That sense of purpose. But the Scripture is telling us we will reign with God forever and ever. The fullness of purpose that was designed in the Garden of Eden, that's what's coming. Third thing, there's a fullness of beauty. A fullness of beauty. Verse 2 of chapter 22, in the middle of the street on either side of the river was the tree of life, which bore the 12 fruits, each tree yielding its fruit every month. Where was that tree of life? Remember, it was in the Garden of Eden. Now it's a place of healing. It's a thing of healing. It's a thing of beauty. The city of God is a place of beauty. I love beautiful places. I love beautiful sunsets and beautiful parks, beautiful landscapes. Don't you love I love beauty. Beautiful music, beautiful art. Beautiful food. But we're going to see that kind of beauty in the presence of God. And fourth, the fullness of truth. The fullness of truth. You know why? Look at verse 3. And there shall be no more curse. The throne of God and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. The Lamb's going to be there. And remember, Jesus said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. So Jesus is there. It's a place of truth. Nobody's going to lie to you anymore. God hates lies. Nobody's going to lie to you. Nobody's going to abuse you, use you, manipulate you, tell you just enough the truth to get you into something you don't need to be in, or to hurt you by manipulating you to believe this when it's that. No more of that. There's the fullness of truth. And finally, the fullness of goodness. I love verse 14. Blessed are those who do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life, and they may enter through the gates of the city. The gates of the city. What an awesome place. Well, it was Henry Drummond who wrote these words in a book called The City Without a Church. He said the heaven of Christianity is different from all other heavens because the religion of Christianity is different from all other religions. It moves among real things. Real things. Its sphere is the street. But if heaven be a city, the life of those who are going there must be a real life. God's gift to us was life. Think about it. A rich and abundant life. An abundant life does not show itself in abundant dreaming, but in abundant living among real and tangible objects to actual and practical purposes. It's real. Heaven is for real. And the next question is, do you plan to go there? Do you plan to go there? I hope you'll join me in this study, because as we look from Genesis to Revelation, the plea of God is, come. Come. And he's calling you today. The place he's preparing for us is quite amazing. And I'm not going to miss it. You want to miss it? You say, well, no, I'll just stay home and do a video game. You stay home. I think maybe the rest of us are going to get a busload here and get with it. Would you pray with me?